Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I am back to do some work on my slow stitch vessel for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery for the prompt for the month of June, which is to create a slow stitch bowl or vessel or container. I'm working on a panel that I first started with Annie Claxton as part of her Colour Inspirations journal, and I'm turning it into a container, which was always my intention. It's just it got put aside, and then this has been the perfect prompt to come back to it. And it's a panel and a vessel inspired by a beautiful piece of poetry called Wild Fruit by Mary Walker. From her book Lullaby for Mothers, and you can find the poem on Mary Walker's Instagram account, and I'll link to her and her website. You can order her books. Just such incredibly beautiful writing. So I've previously shared the work that I did on the stitching on the inside, just using quite basic fabrics, but really using the stitching to add beautiful embellishments. And in the last episode, we were stitching into the front section. I think I've actually can't remember. No, yeah, I think I've done one episode. Working on the front section, or possibly two. I forget. I'll link to. I think I've created a playlist. Not sure. I'll link to either the videos or the playlist in the description. So if you haven't seen the others and you want to tune in for them, you'll be able to do that. So, because the poem talks about in the first stanza, beyond my garden fence, weeds are simply plants. I might rip blackberry from my borders, but I covet its fruit in the wild. So it's got a whole blackberry theme, and that theme runs throughout because the final stanza also refers to the blackberry. So we're still in, I guess, my blackberry and garden segment. So I've got my quite ordered garden here, and then the wildness out there and the blackberry. I just adore this very vintage piece of sequin and beading that now forms my blackberries in this little basket that sits off the piece. I love that it's almost like you could pick it up off this little post or this little place where it's sitting and take it away to enjoy the berries in the garden. These were the berries that I was stitching last time with French knots using quite a thick wool, which I was struggling a bit with the needle, but we got it done. And I ended up deciding not to stitch all of the fabric, just to leave a sense of what the blackberry fabric was like before I stitched into it, because sometimes when you do all the overstitching, it's like you don't have that reference point back to what it was. So I think it's kind of nice that those are just sitting in the background in their original form. So today I thought we would do some stitching into this one, and perhaps just some little seed stitches, whether I do single ones or double ones. I'm not sure. We will decide that as we go. So I think I'll just, as I'm doing my stitching on this, kind of working my way along. I might not do all of it on camera, but if I'm feeling like it and I feel like having a nice little chat with you, I will put on the camera and we can stitch together. So this is one of my I really love this colour of this vintage crochet yarn shade made in England, Ecru. Just love it. Oops, except I've just managed to make it sort of split both. I'll try threading the other end. If not, I'll get can't remember whether it sits well in this chenille needle. Just cut. Sometimes it works best just to cut your end so you can get threaded. It's still trying to split it. When you're not on camera, things always go so much easier. I might just grab a different. It's a very big needle, Christine. I don't think we need quite that big. Not sure if this one's any better for threading, but we'll give it a go. There we go. Sometimes, and I know sometimes you should just turn the eye of the needle around. Did I try that there? I'm not sure. So we'll just put our little knot in place. Even that's not a perfect knot, but I'm not going for perfection here. Here I am just going to create. So I think I might do some little double seed stitches. just might even, yeah, I'll do them triple actually, I think. Just so, or actually I'm just pondering. I'll leave that one as is, but I'm actually thinking, do I want to go around the shapes? That's something I sometimes do. No, I think no, I'm going to stick with it because I kind of want to have the seed stitches also hold the fabric down without having to do more stitching on this piece. So you can do seed stitches either in the stabby way that I'm doing here, where you come through on each stitch is a single movement, so up and then down, or you can do them as little single movements, which I'll show you on the next one. I think the stabby gives you slightly tighter little seed stitches. So it's just going to add some nice texture. You could just do the a seed stitch with a single stitch. So on this one I'll show you the method where you're kind of coming through in two. It's also a bit hard to get all the way through the felt when you're sort of angling through like this. But the good thing is you then just sort of stay on the surface of it, so you're not having to move your hand and sort of underneath and through again. Oops, I think I did one extra there. Or if I went over, I would be doing one extra, so I'll just pop down next to where I was and move on. So because I want to use it to help anchor down the fabric, I kind of like that they look almost like little petals or something. So I think that's quite nice. Just trying to make sure I'm capturing the felt at the back too, because I want them to be not just decorative on the top, to also be holding the fabric on. They do tend to be slightly bigger when you do them this way, but that's okay. And then I'll come down on this one, so I get my 3. I might just go with the stabby method. I think it will give me slightly neater ones, slightly smaller, more delicate ones. So it is Sunday afternoon here when I'm filming this. You probably won't see it until maybe Monday evening my time when I load it. We've had a nice weekend, nice and relaxing. Went out up into the Dandenongs today to Travis's favourite dog park up there. And the one with the beautiful sort of orange clumps of fungi, and they'd all sort of opened up a bit more, which was interesting. So I'm going to have to compare the photos from last week to this week. And took other photos of lichens and things like that. So whether they get added to the end of this video or maybe another one. But thank you for your kind comments on my snuggle pot and cuddle pie, my little container, another vessel I'm making for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. And many of you seem to have enjoyed my little reading while stitching of the story of Snuggle Pot and Cuddle Pie. So I'll do another episode. I'm wondering whether I might do the reading separately and then have the stitching, so have the reading playing while I'm doing the stitching. I'm not sure, we shall see. I haven't actually watched it back to see whether I was stopping while I was... I mean, I know at points I was stopping because I was turning the pages and sort of weighting the book down so that the pages were where I could see them. But yeah, I haven't actually watched it back to see how stilted my stitching was. So yeah, I think I prefer the stabbing method here because it was too hard to get the stitches sort of delicate when trying to angle the needle through the felt and the fabric. so lovely when you've got all your fabrics sort of all patchworked out like this, or sort of, scrappily laid out. It's just so nice to then be able to meander your way along and stitch into them. I am wondering at what point I will put the beading piece that's going to go right across it on, because in some ways that will mean I don't need to fully stitch other parts of it down, so I'll just have to have a think. I'm looking forward to the next panel, which is all about you may not fit where you are, too big for small spaces, too loose for tight boundaries, too loud, too colourful, too new. So that's going to be a bit of fun. I just love how this this section has turned out. I've still got some areas I still need to add some more stitching to, but it's probably not super exciting watching me doing seed stitching, but hopefully you're working on your own piece. I've got smells of an ossobuco style dish wafting up through the house. I didn't end up using veal sort of ossobuco cut. I had just some chuck steak, which is a steak that's good to cook for a long time. So I just sort of did an ossobuco style dish with that, which I think I'm going to serve with some polenta, which will be nice, and a little salad with some rocket on the side. But it's beautiful. I can even tell by now the meat's sort of getting to that point where you press it with the wooden spoon and it sort of breaks apart. So it's delicious. Given it's winter here, it's perfect sort of hearty fare to have. I saw a picture from Paula from New Zealand, and the road, like snowy roads she had a picture of. And then meanwhile, my Facebook has been reminding me of past summers in Italy and France when we've been travelling around. It's so nice to see the photos and the places we'd been. Sicily, Lucca. And it's funny, all the years kind of, you get to see the memories from across different years, different places. And then in more recent times, when we got, in the early days when we got Travis, and he was so small and his face is totally different than it is now. He was a very energetic puppy. He was definitely a handful, but he's grown into the most lovely. Not that he wasn't lovely as a puppy, but he was a handful. We've had other guide dog puppies, and they've been really, really placid, and we sort of think, oh, they gave us a tough one, tough nut, but no. He just needed his time to calm down. Just needed the gentle love of a family to decide that he wanted to be a pet and not a guide dog. But that's okay. We say they all choose their career paths. Yeah, I really do like these. It reminds me of little petals falling down, like maybe there's a blossom tree or something above it. So I'll tie that off there. And then we'll get another piece of it. My orts jar is getting so very full. I do have a little fun thing that I want to show in another video. Something that's a little clue all about it. So we shall come back to that another time. Now, what did I do with my needle? I just spotted it. There it is underneath here. Always helps if you try and thread the correct end of the needle. not the non-eye end. Okay, so we'll hop our way over here perhaps. I can see why they often, why they call them seed stitches, particularly once you get a few stitches like the 3 laid down together. Because it definitely does look like a little sesame seed, but also a petal if you want it to be a petal. And you just want to put them in random sort of angles. You don't want order when you're doing seed stitches. And you can do as many or as few as you want. I just like them on this one just spaced out so they're sort of holding the fabric down but not overwhelming the design. I didn't want to stitch into the actual design here. I'm just going to have a sip of tea. Still just got that sort of allergy thing. It's definitely not a cold. Last night I just slept a normal amount of hours. Because the night before I'd slept a massive 9 and a bit hours, I think. But I've got my ginger, honey and lemon tea there. Thanks Kim for the lovely suggestion. I've actually got some fresh ginger in the fridge as well, so I should use that, as well as I often just use the the Puka tea, Pukkka. I think it might be an Australian brand. They make beautiful herbal teas, so I just use their tea bag that has those ingredients. It has Manuka honey in it, which is very good honey. Now, have I got a knot at the back? Yes, I have. Can I get said knot to undo? Yes, I can. Yay. Let's pull the fabric a bit tight there. Let's just give it a little tug. And I can always go round and sort of stitch down the sides of these as well, just with probably a regular sort of sewing cotton, just to hold down the outside of the container. It's just going to be a combo of using decorative stitching where I can, and then just stitching down other bits in a more invisible stitching way. Or some of them I might do borders around as well. What else to tell you? I don't know. I don't know if there's that much else exciting to share. Just that it is getting to that real chill. Even when we took Travis to the dog park after lunch, you could feel that chill sort of setting in the air. Nice weather to be stitching. I'll stick with the stabbing. It just it's too hard to try and angle the needle and do it in a single stitch. Just hoping you're not getting too much shadow. Let me just open it up maybe. I can hold it a bit flatter. texture it gets when you kind of stitch into it this way with seed stitches or knots or stitching around. It just sort of gets that that sort of puckered look, which I think gives a bit of age to the fabric as well. Kind of gives it light and dark. There's almost like little shadows that form around where the stitches are. I'll have to decide what I'm going to do on the next bit that we stitch on today. It'll be probably above or below or both of those. Is that way the next time we'll be ready for the next panel. Just having to hold this down while I get these stitches in. That should hold this corner area down quite nicely. As I say, the Yoo-hoo glue that I use is the sort of the base that just, because I only put a little bit on, it doesn't form a super tight hold, which is good because then the stitches can just do the work. It just holds it enough to allow me to get to this stage. Although I did put some tacking stitches in, although this one I think I've taken the tacking stitches out because I was excited to see how the section was coming together. Oops. And I saw my parents yesterday, and Dad's healed super well from his cataract surgery, so that's great. Take that one off. Then I'll hop over here. See if I can use the other method just to do some stitches up here. It'll just be a bit easier if I can do it this way. Oops, I should have actually popped over there. I'm not going off camera. I think I might have been. And I'll do one over here, and then I think I might need one down there as well. Oops. Try not to catch the little fringy edge. 2 and then 3, and we'll pop down to somewhere down here. And then I think that will be enough, yeah. Don't think I need, maybe I'll go, because I've got a bit of thread, I'll just pop over and pop one in here as well. Famous last words, I've got enough thread. Oops, and I probably didn't need to go that, but anyway, that is fine. I've got one extra stitch. I've got a little tangle there, but I'm not going to worry about that over here. What I can probably do is just stitch it down so that it doesn't become a problem. tail in. There we go. Put that in my aughts jar. Oops, what did I... Oh no, my needle's over there. Good-o. So that's how that looks, which I think is pretty super. So we haven't got this one stitched down over here. I'll just take its little taily bits off if I can. And we haven't got, we've just got, oh, that's my tacking stitch there. So I'm just pondering what I want to do. I don't think this needs too much, so I think I might just go around the edge of that. I've got my whole box of all my different crochet threads. I might even pick one that goes well with that I could then bring over and maybe put some little French knots in the middle of that one, I think. Unless I want to do something contrasty. Maybe I could follow the pattern of that or something. Maybe I'll use that, which is a similar colour to what the dot in the middle of that is. Got my little handmade wraps which stop these unravelling. I might use my longer needle because it is helpful for being able to sort of angle it through. We'll see. Almost accidentally tied a knot in the end I have, so we will take that as a given. And we'll continue on our way. At least with a needle this size you can definitely see it. So what I might do is just do a running sort of style stitch up the side here. Can hopefully sort of stack it all on my needle in one go like that. Push it against my work surface to pull it through. And then I was just wondering, maybe I will jump down and put some little French knots on the sort of the middle of these little shapes down here. So that will hold this in place. Do a double French knot. It's kind of caught in the fringy bit, but that's okay. It's quite nice actually having the contrast. I'm glad I went with a contrasting colour rather than a matching colour. So French knots, just wrapping around the needle and then holding a bit onto the thread as you pass it through. I'll pop one over on the middle just over here as well. And then as I'm doing this, I'm wondering if I should maybe put some French knots in the little holes. That could be really cute. I do a 3 wrap for these ones. Oh, that's very cute. I do like that. It's not really going to hold the fabric down there, but that's okay. If I put one in the centre, hang on, 1, 2, 3. If I put one in the centre, that will hold them down well. Or maybe I could put a little cross in the centre or something, or a little star. Maybe I'll do that. Let's make this broderie anglais even prettier. unthreaded. I think that's going to be very sweet. So yeah, always look at when you're doing this sort of stitching, just have a look at your fabric and see what you get drawn to in terms of embellishment. When you've got pretty fabrics, you want to kind of use your stitching to to draw out and make them even prettier. Oops, just managed to unthread again. I think last time after we finished, I finished doing the stitching down here and also stitched across here as well, because I don't think I did that on camera. And I think also I stitched down, I don't think the basket was fully stitched down, was it? Can't remember. It's a regular week this week. Last week was a short week because we had the Monday off. But the weeks fly by, as I keep saying. Can anyone believe that we're already tearing our way through June? Thinking I might do a bit of a Christmas in July for getting some Christmas stitching started. Because if you're anything like me, you get to the end of the year and you've got all these plans for Christmas crafts, but time races away from you. So I thought perhaps if I kick it off in July, so do Christmas crafting in July, and then I can sort of carry it through the year, maybe do something each week to get ready for Christmas. Because I've got so many beautiful fabrics and other bits and pieces that I want to use and make pretty things for. Just unthreaded the needle again. I guess that's the challenge when you have a nice big-eyed needle. It's just a bit more prone to getting unthreaded. So that's those done. I might just so this corner's not jumping up, I'll just put a tiny little stitch in here just to hold this down. Won't even be noticeable. And then I guess I can jump down here and do a couple of little knots in these too. Oops. Again, my thread's probably getting a bit too short for this needle, being so long. So I'll do this one and then this one, maybe one more. I always want to get one more out, don't I? Do we think we can get one more? I'm sure we can. Just have to do it carefully so the end doesn't pop out, because as I say, long needle. My end through and then I will stitch it down. Probably just tie it off there. The good thing about the knots is they tend to stay pretty well in place anyway. Okay, so I'll come back and I'll do those ones over there, but let's move on to this section. I'll just take my tacking stitch out, work out which way I was going to have. I think I was going to have this fabric sitting over that fabric, perhaps. So I might just need to get this sitting a bit nicer. I use one of my little quilty clips to hold it in place while I stitch into it. I feel like that needs to fold a bit. Not sure about this piece. I did want to have it, but I just wonder if it's, yeah, no, it'll probably be fine once it's all stitched in place. It's also the tacking stitch is kind of pulling it up. Let me just get that out of the way. And I might, just because it is being a tiny bit difficult, I'll just put a dab of my Yoo-Hoo glue on and a dab on this piece just to hold it where I want it while we get this next section stitched down. And just to drag this a bit more under. Oops. This clip is trying to jump around like it's a grasshopper. Okay, so again, I have my problem. There's my needle, my big needle. So I was going to use the same colour, wasn't I? Just probably for the centres of these. And I might even do the little long stitches out from there as well. I feel like that section over there was casting a shadow. Okay. Oh, we've got a knot at the back even before we start. Let's try and sort that out, what's going on here. Can we, if not, that will become our little end knot, seeing it's holding on resolutely. Okay, maybe I will actually do smaller. Maybe I'll just do a single knot for the centres of these. See, things always happen for a reason. It just made me reponder. And then I'll do some nice little radiating stitches on the middle of the leaf. So again, following the pattern, but just adding some special detail that you wouldn't necessarily notice straight away. But definitely if you feel the pot, and I will know it's there, and I will get much enjoyment out of looking at it. Stitching is like when you dress, you should be dressing for yourself and for what feels comfortable for you, and stitching for you what's going to bring you pleasure. Obviously, if you're stitching something for someone else, you can think a bit about that, what they will like. But ultimately, when we're doing this sort of slow stitching for our own craft rooms and own enjoyment, just follow your bliss and follow your style. There's no right or wrong. Firmly believe that. And just when you look at all the pictures of what everyone, for example, is creating at the moment for the vessels, just so much variation, even where the idea might be similar, just in how people approach it and approach the stitching of it, which is what's so magical about this craft. We're not following a pattern where we need to be slaves to the pattern. Which is what this poem's all about, really. It's about, being free, going free, and not letting yourself be called too big or too small or too loose, too tight. It's not about labels, it's about being free. And the fact that the world is hungry for all of our creativity, for all of that amazing energy and spirit that we can share through what we create. And the friendships we can build with each other and the support we can provide for each other. The world's definitely hungry for that. The world definitely needs more of that. Needs more kindness, doesn't it? Imagine if there was a doubling in kindness overnight. Imagine what could be possible in the world. Imagine if every time people thought about money, they thought about kindness instead. How might things be different? What might we value differently in society? How might we operate differently? Deep thoughts on a Sunday night. Just try not to unthread your needle or poke yourself in your in your upper regions, Christine. Haven't often done that actually. Almost gave myself a nipple piercing. Sorry. Not really. It didn't get that bad. It just almost. Sorry. I will do some knots over here. Oh, that knot just went through to the back. Sometimes that will happen with your French knots. You can always just pop through again and yeah, try again. Particularly might happen if you go sort of back down through the same hole in the fabric, or if you pull particularly hard. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. What I might do again is, while I've got this thread, I'll just pop up and put a tiny little stitch in here, which will just help to hold this edge down. And then a tiny little stitch up here. I could obviously do this in a correctly sort of coordinating cotton colour, but I don't think it'll be a problem. Can't even see where they are, those stitches. Pull the tail through. So that's all nicely held down now, so I'll just tie that off on the back. And then we'll jump up to the top and see what we want to do there. And then this panel will be, I think, almost done. Although we can always come back and add things. But it's probably time to be in the next episode, moving on to the next panel. So if we pop up here and have a little think about what we want to do here. We've just got this nice little leaf design. It's quite delicate, so I'm inclined probably just to do a little stitching across the top. It's just, what colour would I want to? Do I want to draw? Yeah, I might use the dark. Just thinking it might be a nice way to kind of draw that one across, and I might even do the stitching going all the way across, unless, yeah, I think it'll be nice because I think it'll just, yeah, continue over from there, but not overwhelm it, because it'll be held down. I think it's held down below there because I think the fabrics overlap sufficiently. And I'm even wondering, do I actually continue this on almost like a frond of the Blackberry behind here, maybe? Don't know. No, I think I like that, just sitting like that. I will just do pop through from the back. I'll put it this way. And then I'll just stack onto my needle some little running stitches across the top here, just to hold this edge down. Which will probably almost just look like parts of the Blackberry, which is good. So that's pretty good, and then I think I'll just jump it up a tiny bit higher and just run it across here. So I'll do the same thing, just small little stitches, just stacking them onto the needle. The more you practice those little stacky stitches, I think the easier they get. I used to do them and find them quite hard to get them just right, but I don't mind them now. Pop out there, and then I'll just work out how the fabric is meant to sit here. Yep, so I can probably do another stitch over to here. And then whether I want to continue, I think I'll continue over, but I might bring it down 1 point. And see if I can kind of follow the lines, because they'll give me perfect spacing. Well, not that we need to aim for perfect, it just makes it a bit easier to use them. And then I might continue over this way, because the good thing is it is going to just hold down this edge, and seeing I've got the thread going, I may as well do it. Quite a few layers of fabric in some places, so just, and I can always go back to the stab method if it's too hard in any sections, because it does feel quite thick here. So we're now into the next panel, but it'll be good to have the tops nicely held down. This will be a permanent tacking stitch, not one that we take out. It's just one that's going to be a tiny bit decorative, but you can barely see it because it is that dark colour that blends in quite well across here. Just trying to hold the fabric flat so I can get the stitches where I want them. So, I'm not sure, I might do some little stars, because I almost want this to be a bit like a constellation or something, but maybe I'll do them in a metallic, so I might actually just take that stitch 1 stitch back wherever I was there, and just finish off there. I think I feel like I think I've got some glitzy blue. It might be nice to add a bit more glitz, because there's some little glittery bits on that section of fabric, which will go with the sort of, the too loud, the too colourful. I think that will work well. So let's just take a look at, I know probably in some ways it doesn't look like we achieved that much, but I think it's just, yeah, coming along beautifully. And this is now, yeah, nicely stitched, nicely held. Did I end up? Yeah, I stitched, I think, that one. Oh yeah, I've done little knots in those, I think. This is all stitched down, stitched down. Oh, that's got the stitches coming over from here. In fact, I've still got to finish off my chain stitches, but I can do that off camera. So yeah, next time we'll be working on our next panel, I think. So I might even just, yeah, get that a bit better arranged next time, so it's all sitting as it needs to sit, and we can have a play with that. I wasn't sure whether I might put some of the words in, like too big, too loose, too loud, too new, too colourful. Not sure. Or just let the fabrics speak for themselves. Let me know what you think. Thanks everyone. I hope you have a lovely day or evening when you're watching this, and hopefully you're having some lovely creative time. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.